There comes a moment in life when your silence becomes your greatest weapon. Not every battle needs a reaction. Some are best won by walking away. In a noisy world craving conflict, your calm becomes your rebellion. Because the strongest voice is often the one that chooses not to speak. In today's world, where everyone seems to be fighting to be heard, where social media rewards outrage and quick comebacks, we've forgotten the power that lives in silence. We've been conditioned to believe that speaking up, defending ourselves, and responding instantly is a sign of strength. But real strength, true inner strength, often isn't loud. It's quiet. It doesn't seek attention or validation. It doesn't need to prove itself in every situation. Instead, it shows up in restraint, in patience, and in the ability to remain centered when the world is trying to shake you. It's easy to react. Anyone can do that. All it takes is a moment of anger, a spark of irritation, and suddenly your emotions are driving the wheel. You say things you don't mean. You do things you later regret. You let someone else's energy dictate your peace. And in that moment, without realizing it, you hand over your power. You let your emotions lead you into a battle that isn't even yours to fight. That's not power, that's impulse. That's being controlled, not in control. But silence, that's different. Silence requires strength. It takes self-awareness to pause instead of reacting. It takes self-respect to not lower yourself to someone else's level. It takes discipline to remain still while someone else tries to provoke chaos. And it takes wisdom to understand that not every situation needs your response. True strength is the ability to know when to speak and when to stay silent. When you choose not to react, you aren't showing weakness. You're showing that your peace matters more than proving a point. There is an unmatched kind of power that comes when you realize you don't have to answer every insult. You don't have to show up to every argument you're invited to. You don't have to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Silence becomes your shield. It becomes your way of saying, I see what you're trying to do and I won't participate in it. That refusal to engage is powerful, it's graceful, and it places you in control of the situation, not the other way around. When you stay silent in a moment of provocation, you're not bottling up your feelings. You're processing them. You're allowing yourself to respond from a place of clarity instead of confusion. You're telling yourself that not everything deserves your energy, that your mental and emotional peace is sacred and must be protected at all costs. And the more you choose silence, the stronger you become. The less reactive you are, the more control you have over your life. People may try to test your patience. They may try to provoke you just to get a reaction. And yes, sometimes the silence will be misunderstood. Some may think you're weak, passive, or afraid. But that's their misunderstanding, not your truth. Because what they don't see is the discipline it takes to hold back when your pride is screaming for a reply. What they don't understand is how powerful it is to choose calm over chaos. And what they fail to realize is that silence speaks volumes. It communicates maturity. It signals confidence. It represents someone who doesn't need noise to feel seen. True strength is being able to walk away from drama without leaving pieces of yourself behind. It's being able to observe, not absorb. To witness, but not respond. And when you master that, you start living on your own terms. You stop allowing the outside world to control your inner world. You stop being a slave to other people's opinions and emotions. You take your power back, not through shouting louder, but by choosing silence when silence is the loudest answer. So the next time you're tempted to react, pause. Take a breath. Remember who you are. Not everything needs your voice. Sometimes your stillness is the message. And the ones who try to shake you will soon realize they can't move what's rooted in strength, in peace, and in purpose. There's a quiet wisdom in learning to walk away. In a world that constantly pulls you into conflict, chaos, and confrontation, the real victory is not in how well you fight, but in knowing when the battle isn't worth your time. Not every insult deserves your attention. Not every disagreement requires your presence. Not every challenge is meant to be met with force. Sometimes your greatest power is in letting go and moving on without saying a word. We've been conditioned to believe that silence is surrender, that if we don't clap back or defend ourselves at every turn, we're weak or afraid. But that's not true. Maturity teaches you that choosing peace over pride is not weakness, it's wisdom. It means you value your energy. It means you've outgrown petty drama and empty victories. Because when you argue with people who thrive on chaos, even if you win, you lose. You lose your time. You lose your calm. You lose your focus. And what did you gain in return? A temporary sense of being right in a situation that didn't deserve your energy in the first place. There's something deeply powerful about realizing that your presence is valuable, and not everyone deserves access to it. You begin to see that some people only want you around to feed their own drama. They're not looking for peace, they're looking for attention. They don't want resolution, they want to trigger a reaction. And when you engage, when you let yourself get pulled in, you give them exactly what they want. But when you walk away, when you choose silence and protect your peace, you deny them that satisfaction. You shift the dynamic. You show that their chaos has no control over your calm. Every time you choose not to attend a battle that was designed to steal your joy, you win. Not because you proved someone wrong, but because you chose yourself. You chose your mental clarity. You chose your emotional stability. You chose not to waste your energy on things that don't serve your growth. That kind of decision requires a level of strength that many people will never understand. It's easy to get caught in cycles of conflict, especially when you feel misunderstood or disrespected. But real power is not in the noise. It's in the quiet confidence that says, I don't need to prove myself to anyone. Walking away doesn't mean you're avoiding responsibility. It means you've evaluated the situation and realized that engaging brings no value. You understand that some arguments are traps. No matter what you say, it won't bring peace. It will only prolong the pain. And so you walk, not in defeat, but in dignity. You leave the battlefield not because you're afraid to fight, but because you've outgrown the need to prove your strength through conflict. You've reached a place where your peace matters more than being right. The truth is, not all battles are worth it. Some are simply distractions dressed as debates. Some are invitations to emotional sabotage, disguised as discussions. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your life fighting unnecessary wars with people who don't even deserve to be in your story. That's why boundaries matter. That's why discernment is key. Because when you know your worth, you don't argue with anyone who tries to devalue it. You protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. Every time you walk away from chaos, you reclaim your power. Every time you say no to conflict, you say yes to growth. You remind yourself that you are in control, not of others, but of yourself. And that's the most important battle you'll ever win. So let others wage their wars. Let them shout, complain, and seek validation through conflict. You don't have to join them. Your silence is not weakness. Your refusal is not fear. It is strength. It is clarity. It is your declaration that you've chosen peace over pride, growth over ego, and wisdom over war. True mastery isn't found in how loud you speak, how quickly you respond, or how intensely you react. It's found in the stillness you maintain when everything around you is trying to pull you out of character. Anyone can raise their voice. Anyone can clap back. But the real test is how you carry yourself when someone is trying to provoke you. When tension rises and emotions are triggered, do you lose yourself in the chaos, or do you rise above it? The choice to remain calm isn't just an act of self-control. It's a display of deep emotional intelligence and inner mastery. Most people are slaves to their impulses. They react the moment they feel threatened, disrespected, or misunderstood. But the problem with reaction is that it's often blind. It doesn't come from reflection or wisdom. It comes from a wounded ego trying to defend itself. And in that state, it's easy to say something you'll regret, to burn bridges you didn't need to cross, and to give power to people who don't deserve it. That's the price of chaos. It consumes more than just your peace. It drains your focus, damages your relationships, and disturbs your mental clarity. But when you choose calm, you reclaim your power. You show that your emotions serve you, not the other way around. You become the kind of person who doesn't flinch when challenged, who doesn't crumble under pressure. You listen before you speak. You pause before you respond. You think before you act. And that space between stimulus and response is where real strength lives. It's in that space that you demonstrate that you are not a product of your environment. You are the master of your inner world. Choosing calm isn't easy, especially when the world around you rewards drama. In a culture addicted to outrage and quick reactions, staying composed can feel like swimming upstream. But that's what separates the disciplined from the impulsive. The ones who win long-term don't waste energy reacting to every distraction. They don't allow someone else's chaos to dictate their mood. They protect their emotional equilibrium the way a warrior protects his sword. Because they understand that peace is not something you stumble upon, it's something you create. And that creation starts with restraint. You encounter moments where your patience is tested, where your character is challenged, and your silence mistaken for weakness. But hold your ground, because while anyone can react in the moment, very few have the wisdom to remain calm and respond with intention. And it's those few who lead, who inspire, and who rise above the noise. Calm is not passive. It's not surrender. It's a choice. A powerful, conscious decision to not let the world dictate your emotions. In choosing calm, you also become a mirror for others. People around you begin to reflect that same stillness. You diffuse situations that could have escalated. You create space for solutions instead of fueling more problems. Your presence becomes a source of stability. That's the power of emotional mastery. It's not just about keeping your own peace, it's about influencing the atmosphere around you through the energy you carry. Remember, storms pass, emotions settle, but the damage done in moments of chaos can linger far longer than the issue itself. That's why calm is your shield. It protects your integrity, preserves your relationships, and keeps your vision clear when everything seems uncertain. So the next time life tries to pull you into its noise, pause. Breathe. Remember who you are. You are not here to be tossed around by storms. You are made to rise above them. And every time you choose calm over chaos, you prove it to yourself all over again. There's a quiet kind of power that lives in silence. When someone provokes you, insults you, or tries to push your buttons, they're hoping to get a response. They want control over your emotions. They want to pull you into their drama, into their chaos. Because if they can trigger you, they've won. But when you remain silent, calm, composed, unmoved, that power they were grasping for slips right through their fingers. Your silence becomes a message louder than anything you could say. It says, you don't have that kind of control over me. People often confuse silence with weakness. They think if you're not clapping back, defending yourself or reacting, you must be scared or incapable. But that's because they don't understand the power of emotional discipline. Real strength is not in reacting to every insult, every opinion, or every challenge. Real strength is in being so grounded in who you are that nothing outside of you has the ability to shake you. Your silence doesn't mean you're ignoring the situation. It means you're choosing not to give it more energy than it deserves. Every time you react emotionally to someone else's words or actions, you hand over a little bit of your power. You show them that they can pull strings and make you dance. But when you choose silence, you keep your power within. You send a message that you are not emotionally available for games, manipulation, or unnecessary drama. And that message is unsettling for those who seek validation through conflict. They don't know what to do with someone who won't bite, who won't get rattled, who remains solid no matter what is said or done. Your silence becomes a mirror. It forces others to face their own behavior, to hear their own noise echoing back at them with no reply. That's a powerful shift. When you stay silent, you remove the fuel that feeds the fire. The conflict cannot escalate without your participation. You've taken control not just of yourself, but of the entire dynamic. You lead by restraint. You dominate through stillness. You don't need to speak to prove your worth. Your energy speaks for you. It's not about avoiding confrontation or being passive. It's about being strategic with your energy. It's about knowing when to speak and when to hold your peace. Silence is not the absence of a voice, it's the presence of self-awareness. It means you're thinking bigger. You're valuing your emotional peace more than momentary satisfaction. And that mindset puts you ahead of most people who live on edge, constantly reacting, constantly needing to prove something. There's also a kind of mystery that comes with silence. When you don't react, people start to wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, how you really feel. That mystery creates space. Space where you hold the advantage. Space where you can decide your next move from a place of calm clarity, not emotional chaos. Your silence creates an emotional distance that protects your energy and keeps you in control of the narrative. In a world obsessed with being heard, choosing not to speak becomes an act of rebellion. It becomes a form of power few people know how to wield. It takes confidence to let others talk while you observe. It takes courage to walk away without defending yourself. And it takes wisdom to know that not everything deserves a reaction. Silence is a tool, a weapon, and a shield. Use it well. Because the moment you stop reacting, you stop bleeding energy. You stop handing out power to people who never earned it. And you step fully into your own. Let the noise happen. Let others scramble for attention. You're not here to be pulled into their storm. You're here to stand in your own stillness. And in that stillness, you become unshakable. There are people in this world who don't seek peace. They don't want harmony. They want attention, control, and chaos. They provoke insult and stir the pot not because they want understanding, but because they want to feel powerful. They want to see you react. Why? Because your reaction validates them. It feeds their ego. It tells them, I got to you. I'm in control. That reaction becomes their fuel. And every time you take the bait, you confirm their ability to control your emotional state. That's how they win. Not by being right, not by having the truth, but by getting under your skin. When you yell back, when you try to defend yourself, when you match their energy, they feel empowered. It's not even about the topic anymore. It's about the fact that they pulled you into their storm and got you to play their game. But when you stay calm, when you walk away, when you don't react at all, you cut off their supply. You take away the attention they crave. You starve their ego. And nothing frustrates a provoker more than silence. People who thrive on drama need an audience. They need someone to argue with, someone to clash with. If you remove yourself from that equation, they lose their stage. Without your reaction, they're just yelling into the void. And soon they'll have to face their own emptiness. Your silence forces them to sit with their own intentions. And it's uncomfortable. They may even escalate, trying harder to trigger you, raising their voice, throwing insults like darts, hoping one will stick. But your calm response, your refusal to engage, is a power move they can't compete with. Your peace is valuable. It's your responsibility to protect it. Not everyone deserves access to your energy, and certainly not those who try to tear you down for their own gratification. The more you understand this, the more selective you become with your reactions. You begin to see that responding to every provocation is not strength, it's vulnerability. It's a leak in your emotional discipline. The moment you learn to guard your peace, you begin to rise above the noise. You become unshakable, untouchable, and more powerful than any loud argument ever could make you. There's a difference between responding and reacting. Reaction is impulsive, it's emotional, it's often regrettable, but response is calculated, mature, and grounded. Some situations don't even deserve a response. They deserve your silence and your distance, not because you're weak, but because you're wise. You see the trap, and you refuse to fall into it. You recognize the game, and you refuse to play. That's how you protect your energy. That's how you stay in control of yourself. When you feed someone's ego with your anger, you give them a win they didn't earn. You give them a moment of superiority over you. And for someone operating from insecurity or narcissism, that moment is everything. But when you deny them that reaction, you deny them the rush they seek. You break the cycle. You set a boundary. And most importantly, you teach them that their chaos has no place in your life. You were never meant to fight every battle. You were never meant to argue with every fool or entertain every insult. That's not growth. That's not strength. Strength is restraint. Power is peace. Mastery is knowing that not every action deserves a reaction, especially when the only one who benefits is the person trying to break your composure. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Or am I just feeding a fragile ego that craves control? If the answer is the latter, walk away. Let your silence speak. Let your peace be your resistance. That's how you win. Not with words, but with wisdom. Not with retaliation, but with quiet strength. In a world where everyone is trying to prove themselves with loud voices and louder actions, there is something quietly powerful about letting your success speak for you. You don't need to argue with those who doubt you. You don't need to constantly defend your decisions to people who will never understand your vision. You don't need to explain yourself to those who never cared to listen in the first place. The best response isn't in words, it's in results. The strongest reply isn't in debate, it's in undeniable growth. There will always be people who try to tear you down. Some will misunderstand you. Others will deliberately misjudge you. Some will talk behind your back, trying to reduce your name to whispers. And you might feel the urge to defend yourself, to explain your heart, to fight back with words. But you don't need to. Because your greatest defense, your most powerful answer, is what you become in spite of their doubt. When you elevate your life, when you achieve what they said you couldn't, you silence them without ever raising your voice. Success has a way of humbling critics. It turns judgment into silence. It transforms disbelief into awe. The people who once laughed at your dreams begin to watch you in quiet disbelief. They no longer have words, because your life now stands as proof of what they refuse to see. That's the moment when your growth becomes your statement. When your peace becomes your protection, and your progress becomes your revenge. The truth is, you don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing to grow, for choosing peace, for choosing a better life. People may question your silence. They may call it arrogance, distance, or even weakness. Let them. You are not here to match their noise. You are here to rise above it. And when you're focused on building, healing, and evolving, you no longer have the time or desire to entertain shallow conversations or petty battles. Every day you show up for yourself, you win. Every moment you keep going, despite setbacks, you speak. Every time you rise when life tries to push you down, you send a message louder than any words could deliver. Let that be your reply. Let your discipline be your answer to doubt. Let your resilience be your answer to hardship. Let your resilience be your answer to hardship. Let your peace be your answer to chaos. And most importantly, let your success, your growth, your healing, your inner strength be your final word. Some people don't deserve access to your voice, not because they're unworthy as people, but because they're not ready to receive your truth. And when you waste energy trying to convince the unwilling, you rob yourself of that same energy needed to elevate. So instead, redirect that energy inward. Pour it into your purpose, into your craft, into your vision, into becoming so grounded, so focused that nothing can shake you. That's how you win. Quietly, consistently, powerfully. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to live in alignment with your truth. And those who truly see you will never need a speech to believe in you. They'll feel it in your energy. They'll see it in your actions. And they'll respect it in your results. The rest, let them talk. Let them guess. Let them wonder. You've got work to do. You've got dreams to chase. You've got a life to build that makes all the noise you'll ever need. Because at the end of the day, your life is your message. And if you build it right, brick by brick, day by day, it will echo louder than any words you could ever say. Let your success be the loudest reply to every doubter, every critic, and every voice that ever told you you couldn't. Because once you arrive, once they see what you've become, there's nothing left to say. The loudest victories are often the quietest ones. You don't win by shouting louder or reacting faster. You win by rising above it all. True strength isn't found in proving your point. It's found in protecting your peace, You don't have to attend every battle you're invited to. You don't have to give your energy to chaos. Mastery is choosing calm over noise, silence over ego, and focus over distraction. When you stop reacting, you reclaim your power. When you stay still in the storm loses its grip. You starve the ego of the provoker, disarm their control, and stand firm in self-respect. Let your silence echo with dignity. Let your growth, your healing, and your success speak for you. Because the most powerful message isn't always said, it's shown. And in a world full of noise, the one who masters silence becomes unstoppable.